we have a spectrum of community that they practice at home, they've healed themselves. At the end of 7 days, it's not uncommon, it happens all the time. People stand on the stage and tell their story of they're out of their wheelchair. They walk up to the stage without their wheelchair. I don't know about you, but I can't go back to business as usual in my life after that. So giving people numerous opportunities to overcome themselves and numerous opportunities to connect to that invisible field, whose signature is oneness, is wholeness, is pure love, is then giving them numerous opportunities to remember who they are and where they came from. And we came from pure love. And when you feel so whole and your nervous system is back into autonomic regulation instead of autonomic dysregulation, stress, you tend to want less. You tend like you feel like you already have everything. And I think that is the natural state of being. So we came across over a period of time where we started seeing these really profound changes in real time. You know, we measure people's brains in real time during the event, and the amount of energy, the amount of coherence that was in their brains was so outside of normal. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of standard deviations outside of normal. 3 standard deviations outside of normal, no matter what you measure, is 2% of the population. That's really good. Add another 197 or 297 or 397 of those measurements past that point. This is a tremendous amount of energy in the brain. You talk to those people, I talked to many of them. What happened? Their stories are so profound. The information that their brain is processing is not coming from the environment, it's coming from a vision within them, a transcendental moment. They're having an arousal. And that arousal is not pain. The arousal is not fear. The arousal is not aggression. The arousal is ecstasy. They're touching the divine. Their consciousness is dipping into that greater frequency that's within us and all around us. And when they come back to their senses, they are a different person. It becomes them and they become it. They're more kind. They're more loving, they're more caring, they're more giving, they're more willful, they're more conscious. Somehow their interaction with energy or frequency or information somehow gives them an upgrade. And there's the eczema, and then it's gone. There's the blindness, and for some reason now, their interaction with wholeness has created a biological upgrade in their body. And those are the moments where they have actually connected. And that's when you shorten the distance between the thought and the experience. And the person, it's so funny, you get them on the stage to tell the story. And what they talk mostly about is the feeling. They'll just say, I feel so brand new, I feel so whole, I feel so in love with life, I feel so grateful for so many things. And I'll say, would you just tell them, oh yeah, and I was blind since I was 3 months old and now I can see. Like, the experience and the emotion was so much more profoundly memorable. And the upgrade that takes place in the body, oh yeah, well now that happened too. So I think the information that we're gathering through our scientific measurements is helping us to teach transformation a whole lot better. And I can say certain things now with such conviction and such certainty because I've seen the data. And I keep telling the scientists, I can't believe this is the truth. And the scientists were pretty skeptical people. These are published, well-published scientists shaking their head going, wow, this is unbelievable. A drug study is like 18 to 25% cause and effect, causality, right? Our studies are 75% cause and effect. That's unheard of. So you see the data, you show the data to scientists in other universities, and they shake their head. They just cannot believe what they see. So when we draw the blood of those people who hit those high coherent gamma brainwave states, we draw their blood, there's so much information in that blood that brings the body back to wholeness and back to health. And we're discovering, wow, there's a whole plethora of these wonderful chemicals. Sitting on the park bench or whatever, and they have this profound moment of connection, or they just get done skiing for 8 hours and they fall asleep in the back of the car, and the next thing you know, they're something other than themselves. I think that these random things that happen to us, I think we associate with, maybe it was skiing, or maybe it was whatever. Well, my interest is to demystify that process, and now we're getting really close. Like we can look at certain brain scans, and we can look at certain measurements, like in the heart also. I could say to the scientist who's observing this scan, at the same time I can say, this person is going to have a big moment in a matter of seconds, because they move to this particular brainwave state where they're outside of normal in theta, right? And theta is when your body's asleep and your mind is awake. You're half awake and you're half asleep. And it turns out that's magic land. It turns out theta is a hypnotic state. And when you're in a hypnotic state, you're suggestible to information. And suggestibility is your ability to accept, believe, and surrender to information without analyzing it. And that's exactly what programs the autonomic nervous system into an outcome. All right, so the person moves outside of normal in theta, coherent theta. We're measuring this on them. They're in a hypnotic state. A hypnotist could say to them anything and program them, but their eyes are closed. There's music playing in the background. They forget they're in the room. They're not eating or tasting or smelling or experiencing and feeling. They're sitting still. There's only one other place information can come from, and that's frequency. And all frequency carries information. So as they dial down the neocortex and they move into theta, they shut out the mechanism, or shut off the mechanism that is connected to the autobiographical self, the story. Lights are out in the neocortex, but they're still awake. They're suggestible to information, but they're not getting information through their senses. There's coherence in their brain because they're practicing that. When the brain gets coherent, it can read coherent information. The more coherent the frequency, the more coherent the information. So the brain acts like a receiver. Latent systems in the brain switch on, and then there they go, right into gamma. They go into that altered state. We can induce it, we can replicate it, we can predict it, and we see a very similar brainwave pattern, okay? Then we all started to notice that if a person can really, really start practicing putting their attention in their heart and really start working with these elevated emotions, we created the technology, we created the program to be able to see, okay, let's see when a person puts their attention on their heart, if where they place their attention is where they place their energy. Let's see if they put their attention on their heart, if it changes the energy of the heart. And there's a frequency band for the heart that's a low frequency band, very low frequency band. That's the energy that's only indigenous to the heart. Okay, here's somebody playing with their 2-year-old, running around outside on the break in the event, and another staff member who's running around doing 1,000 things, a little bit out of balance, a little stressed. We sit them down and we ask them, okay, let's see if we can do this. They're advanced meditators. They get in their heart. I ask them to put their attention on their heart. I'm talking to them, and all of a sudden you can see this column. It looks like someone's filling up a gas tank. You see this very low frequency start to go up as they put their attention on their heart. Okay, here it comes up, and then all of a sudden you see the parasympathetic nervous system come up, which is the nervous system of relaxation. It's the clutch, it's the brake. Sympathetic nervous system goes down. Okay, I thought that was the end. The person's hooked up to a brain scan. All of a sudden we see the parasympathetic nervous system drop down, and all of a sudden we see the sympathetic nervous system go up. And now the person is relaxed in their heart and awake in their brain. And the energy from the body is being driven to the brain. And that arousal that's creating is causing this kind of resonance. We see that some people are in delta brainwave, really slow frequency, but most of them in theta. And theta starts resonating the alpha, and alpha starts resonating the beta, and beta goes to high beta, and high beta goes right into gamma. And the person is literally relaxed in their heart and awake in their brain, and they are, gamma is awake, it's consciousness, super consciousness. And instead of being stressed out and in a program, which is what most people do, they're completely in the present moment, so much so that they don't want the moment to end. That's one long moment for them. So we're kind of discovering all these things and being able to teach it a few different ways for a moment where a person really actually can have a transcendental experience of themselves. And I think the experience then, the inward experience, since experience enriches circuitry, when we come back to our senses, I think we can perceive a broader spectrum of reality because we don't see things how they are, we see things how we are. So the inward mystical experience lays down new circuitry in the brain for us to perceive more of reality. The feeling that comes from that experience, the arousal, is not chemical, it's electric, it's energy. And the stronger the arousal, the more they remember the image. And so now the body literally is being drawn out of the past into the present moment, and they don't want that moment to end. And when they're moving to the present moment, there goes a lot of the health conditions because the body's no longer reliving the event emotionally and believing it's living in the same environment. And we're no longer signaling the same gene in the same way. Why? Because the environment signals the gene. So the past is literally washed away for a lot of people. And so by demystifying the process, by doing our measurements, I think we're able to not only induce it and predict it, but be able to replicate it. And I think that gets to be really exciting because I think we can teach it better.